Welcome this stories. The key turned in the lock, and the front door creaked open, a reckless invitation to the unknown. The echo of her heels on the hardwood was a haunting melody, each step a whisper of temptation. She walked in, a soft laugh escaping her lips, shaking her head as if caught in a moment meant only for her heart. I lingered in the shadows, perched on the couch, my heart racing as I watched. Autumn had been sneaking away for these girls' nights for what felt like an eternity. Each excuse dripped with apathy, while the defiance grew sharper, more intoxicating. Once, she would have feigned remorse for slipping in after dark. Is it time? She glided in, exuding an air of ownership, as if I were merely a shadow in her vibrant world, something she could discard at will. Her dress hung askew, hair a wild tangle, and the lavish perfume she wore couldn't hide her perfume lingered in the air, a reminder of the evening's events. But it was the absence of something so simple that ignited a fire within me. She slipped off her heels, a breathy sigh escaping her lips as she carelessly tossed her purse onto the counter, the weight of the day falling away. Her smirk lingered, teasingly playful, as if waiting for a response. "You're home late," I whispered, my heart racing, a mix of longing and worry in my tone. Her heart raced, but her expression remained steady. Instead, she turned, her arms reaching out as if to shake off the weight of a day filled with unspoken desires. "Oh, just let go? It's just—" She stole a quick look at the clock, heart racing. "It's 2:47 a.m., the world outside silent, but my heart races with thoughts of you. In the stillness of the night, every heartbeat feels like a secret, a longing that dances just out of reach. The clock ticks, but time feels suspended, caught in the thrill of what we can't have. Each moment is a whisper, a stolen glance, a fragile dream that lingers in the shadows." Her laughter filled the room, light and carefree, carrying a moment of joy. "Perhaps it's a bit too late now." I held my breath, silence wrapping around us like a secret we dared not share. The silence lingered, heavy and charged. Her sigh was heavy, as if the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. "Oh, please, don't gaze at me with those eyes." As she turned on the living room light, her eyes met mine, a playful smile crossing her lips, carrying a hint of nostalgia. "You're treating me like I just stumbled out of someone else's life." I kept silent. I couldn't help myself. Autumn brushed past me, her eyes filled with unspoken words, heading towards the kitchen. The sound of her searching through the fridge echoed in the quiet room, the soft clink of a bottle breaking the silence. She unscrewed the cap, savoring the moment as she took a long sip, then turned back, her smirk lingering like a secret between them. "What is this feeling that pulls me closer to you, even when I know I shouldn't? Do you really have a problem with me living my life?" Her laughter was a sharp edge, tinged with something deeper. "Darling, I wish you could see it, but sometimes a woman just needs a moment to breathe." We shared laughter, the warmth of the moment easing the weight of the day. "What does it matter?" She took another sip, exhaling softly, leaning against the counter in quiet thought. "Is that why you returned without your secrets?" Whispered. The smirk wavered, just for a fleeting moment. Only a fragment. Then she let out a soft, forbidden laugh that sent shivers down his spine. Giggled softly. "Oh, my heart, are you really looking to see if I'm wearing anything underneath?" She whispered, a hint of longing in her voice. "Your insecurities are so palpable, my love. So vulnerable." A rush of tension gripped me. Where could they possibly be? She let out a soft sigh, her shoulders rising and falling as if carrying the weight of unspoken feelings. "I have no idea. Perhaps I forgot them in the back seat of that fleeting ride. Perhaps in the shadows of the club. Perhaps in the bathroom, during that fleeting moment when I changed." She paused, heart racing. Whispers of longing linger in the air. A fissure in her perfect, unreachable facade. Then she swiftly regained her composure. Her lips curled into a wicked little smile, hinting at secrets that danced just beyond reach. Oh no, that single word ignited a fire within me. She was playing with my heart, lost in the moment. I inhaled sharply, battling to keep my face a mask of indifference. "Is this really how it is for you?" Returning home in a state of disarray. Hauntingly familiar, the scent of another man's cologne lingered in the air. She let out a soft laugh, her eyes glinting with a mix of defiance and longing. "Oh, my heart, stop with the theatrics." She raised her hands in frustration, a mix of longing and despair in her eyes. Do you really believe something occurred? Can you even hear what you're saying? She stepped away from the counter, her heart racing as she moved closer to me. Her hips moved with a tantalizing allure, as if she were dancing just for him. She lingered, a breath away from my heart, gazing down with that familiar, infuriating smirk. "Hey, love," she whispered, her voice dripping with playful sarcasm, as if she were gently unraveling a secret meant only for the innocent. I stepped outside, heart racing with the thrill of the unknown. I danced, heart racing, lost in the moment. I took a sip. It was a fleeting moment of joy, a spark that ignited something deeper within me. That's all there is. Meanwhile, you sit there, lost in your thoughts, like a heart aching with unspoken desires. Perhaps you could find your own thrill instead of lingering in this moment, consumed by my every choice. I tightened my grip. She had stopped pretending, the truth hanging between them like a whispered secret. She tilted her head, her gaze dancing over my face, searching for the truth hidden in my eyes. Then, she let out a soft sigh, her fingers brushing gently against my cheek. Soft touches linger in the air. Mine, soft and tempting, a fleeting brush that ignites a spark of longing. Oh, the ache of longing. Your anger makes you even more adorable, she playfully provoked. Perhaps if you weren't so dull, I wouldn't have to escape to girls' nights to feel alive. It was over. I rose suddenly, causing her to stumble back a step. Her smirk faltered, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through the facade. My gaze lingered on her, the silence thick with unspoken feelings, as the gravity of the moment enveloped us both. She needed to understand that the hold she believed she had on me had slipped away, like a fleeting whisper in the night. She sighed, arms crossed tightly, a storm brewing in her heart. "Okay, now you're crossing a line. Will you really ignore me for the rest of the evening?" I averted my gaze, my heart racing as I moved toward the stairs. Her voice echoed in the distance, a haunting melody that tugged at my heart. "Oh, my heart, is this real? Darling, please don't act so innocent." My silence spoke volumes. I climbed the stairs, secured the bedroom door, and started to fade away from her world. She was blissfully unaware. I had no clue this would be the final night she would look at me with such playful disdain. She had no clue that by morning, I would be nothing but a memory. No note, no messages exchanged, just stolen glances and unspoken words that linger in the air, heavy with longing and the thrill of the unknown. There are moments that linger in the shadows, where hearts collide in secret. A glance, a touch, electric and fleeting, igniting a fire that feels both thrilling and wrong. The ache of desire pulls them closer, yet the world outside whispers caution. In the quiet spaces between breaths, love blooms in the most unexpected places, leaving them breathless and yearning for more. Only silence lingered between us, and when she finally understood the depth of her loss, the moment would have slipped away forever. The alarm on her phone buzzed at exactly 9:30 a.m., vibrating against the nightstand, a reminder of the fleeting moments that slipped through her fingers like whispers in the dark. Autumn sighed deeply, turning onto her stomach, pressing her face into the pillow as if to hide from the world. Her scent was a mix of regret and longing, but it didn't matter to her. She had no recollection of slipping under the covers, the warmth of the sheets a distant whisper of a night filled with unspoken desires. After a few more minutes of resisting the call of the alarm, she finally stretched her limbs, her heart racing as she reached for her phone with a reluctant, lazy swipe. The screen flickered to life, its harsh light forcing her to squint, a bittersweet tension hanging in the air. Not a single call unanswered. Silence lingers between us, heavy with unspoken words and longing. Each moment apart feels like a stolen breath, a secret we dare not share. The ache of what could be wraps around my heart, a bittersweet reminder of the connection we can never fully embrace. Her laughter was a sharp, defiant sound. Is this how we're playing it now, with silence between us? Adorable. As she rolled onto her back, a heavy sigh escaped her lips, and her eyes drifted to the void beside her, aching with unspoken longing. No one to claim her heart. He was gone, leaving only an echo of warmth behind. Not a trace remained of the night they had shared, as if he had never been there beside her. "Oh, come on, he's just being overly emotional." Autumn flung the blankets aside, her heart racing as she sat up, caught between desire and the weight of unspoken words. Her head pulsed softly, a reminder of the intoxicating night that had blurred the lines between right and wrong. Not that it mattered to her. She had fought for those drinks. After all, she was bound by vows, not by chains. His discontent was his burden to bear, not hers to carry. She slipped into the bathroom, the cool water refreshing against her skin, a moment of clarity before she faced her own reflection, heart racing with unspoken desires. Runny eyeliner, messy strands, a whisper of intimacy, lips still tender from the stolen kiss. Her lips curled into a secretive smile. Last night was electric, a fleeting moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. With a soft sigh, she descended the stairs, heart racing at the thought of finding him in the kitchen, brooding over a cup of coffee like a lost boy in a world that felt too big. But as she rounded the corner, an eerie stillness enveloped the kitchen. The familiar morning ritual felt achingly absent. The air felt empty, devoid of warmth and comfort. Silence hung in the air. Not a husband in sight. Autumn's heart raced as she approached the counter, her gaze fixed on the spot where he often left his keys, a bittersweet reminder of their fleeting moments together. Lost to the shadows. His wallet? Vanished into thin air. His work phone? Vanished into thin air. A spark of longing, hidden and intense. A lingering tension. A shiver raced up her spine. Is that you, Kyle? Her voice broke the silence, a whisper laced with longing. Everything feels so heavy, yet so light. A glance, a touch, a moment stolen away from the world. It's thrilling and terrifying. This secret we share, wrapped in shadows and whispers. Each heartbeat echoes the unspoken, a longing that dances just out of reach. Can we dare to dream of what could be, even if it feels wrong? The thrill of the forbidden pulls us closer, igniting a fire that can't be extinguished. She stepped into the living room, heart racing, as if the air crackled with unspoken words and stolen glances. Everything feels heavy, yet so light, as if the world is holding its breath. A glance, a touch, a moment stolen in the shadows, it's all we have, and it's everything we crave. The thrill of the unspoken, the ache of desire, and the sweetness of what could never be. Her heart raced as she stepped into the dim garage, the air thick with unspoken secrets. His car had vanished, leaving behind an ache that lingered in the air. Autumn's smirk faded into uncertainty. With trembling fingers, she snatched her phone and sent a message that felt both thrilling and dangerous. Autumn, oh my heart, are you really sulking right now? Let go of the past. Silence hung in the air, heavy with unspoken words and lingering glances. The tension crackled between them, a magnetic pull that felt both thrilling and wrong. Each heartbeat echoed the longing they dared not voice, a secret yearning that danced just out of reach. She reached out to him. Sent straight to voicemail, my heart sank. Her brow furrowed, a storm of emotions brewing within. Her heart raced as she tapped on their secret location tracker, one she feigned disdain for, yet in the quiet moments, found herself drawn to, seeking him out when her heart ached for something more. The app loaded, the little spinning wheel teasing her with its slow dance of anticipation. In that moment, our paths crossed in a place we couldn't claim, a fleeting moment wrapped in secrecy. Her stomach knotted with a mix of longing and fear. What do you mean? Her heart raced as she hit refresh. It always ends the same way. She breathed out, trying to dispel the unsettling sensation that crawled up her neck. He's just being cruel. He's fighting for something he knows he shouldn't. Let him indulge in his fleeting storm. She quietly prepared her breakfast, the morning light casting a soft glow around her, as if the world outside held its breath, waiting for something unspoken to unfold. Lingering in the moment, she scrolled through her phone, masking the storm inside her heart. Yet, every few moments, her gaze darted to the front door, a silent yearning lingering in the air. By noon, their hearts raced with unspoken words, a longing that felt both thrilling and wrong. The feeling had deepened into a longing that felt almost wrong, a rush of fear and longing intertwined. She reached for him once more, her heart racing with a mix of longing and uncertainty. It goes straight to voicemail, every time. My heart sinks a little more with each unanswered call. As the clock struck 2 p.m., a hush fell over the room, thick with unspoken feelings and stolen glances. She couldn't help but peek at his social media. Gone, like a whispered secret in the night. A fleeting connection, filled with longing and unspoken desires, forever etched in the heart, yet never meant to be. A bittersweet memory that lingers, haunting and beautiful, like a stolen glance that says everything without a single word. Each and every one. Her heart raced as she glanced at his work profile. Lost to the shadows. A tightness gripped her throat, a mix of longing and fear. She wasn't naive. She understood the implications of their stolen moments. Yet, it felt so close, yet so far away. He couldn't bear to walk away from her. It's only the second day, and already my heart races at the thought of what lies ahead. Autumn tossed and turned, her heart racing with thoughts that kept her awake. She whispered to herself that it didn't matter. Yet her body whispered secrets untold. Her stomach twisted with a mix of longing and fear. Her skin tingled with an electric thrill. Each sound sent a shiver through her, pulling her from the depths of her dreams. She had spent the evening whispering his name to the shadows, reaching out to his friends with a heart full of longing. Silence hung heavy in the air, a weight of unspoken words and unacknowledged feelings. Or rather, none of them dared to respond to her. Her messages lingered in silence, unanswered and aching. The group chats she had secretly cherished for years? Lonely whispers linger in the silence. Even Kyle's family had turned their backs, leaving her in a silence that felt heavy and aching. Her heart raced at that. She was a closed door, a secret longing that stirred in the shadows. She felt the distance growing, a painful severance that tugged at her heart. Her fingers quivered with a mix of excitement and fear as she sent another message into the void. Autumn and Kyle. Honestly, stop pretending you don't care. You're making a fool of yourself. Autumn, my heart races at the mere thought of you. Oh, my heart, are you really going through with this? Is that really how low you've sunk? Autumn, I can't help but feel this pull between us. Feel free to wallow in your sadness. But when you finally let go of your pride, don't think I'll be here, waiting in the shadows for you to notice me. Silence hung heavy in the air, a bittersweet ache lingering between them. Words unspoken, yet their hearts raced with a longing that felt both thrilling and wrong. The tension crackled, a secret dance of desire that dared to defy the world outside. Day 4 of longing. Autumn sat in the kitchen, her heart racing as she clutched her phone, knuckles pale with tension. This can't be happening. It couldn't be real. He would return, and with him, a rush of unspoken feelings. He needed to return. Yet, with every fleeting moment, the truth wrapped itself around my heart, tighter and more inescapable. The realization seared her heart, a painful truth she dared not embrace. Kyle was gone for good. She felt the ache of his absence, a bittersweet reminder of what could never be. And she never saw it coming. Initially, she struggled to make sense of it all. All right. And just like that, he was gone. Such a weighty matter. He'll return when he sees that no one else can handle his flaws like I do. Then the passion ignited. Does he really believe he can walk away from us? She was meant for something more than this heartache. She longed for the words that could bridge the chasm between them. He was breaking her heart, leaving her in silence, as if she never mattered at all. She whispered to her friends about his unraveling, painting him as fragile and lost, her heart aching with concern for the boy who was never meant to be hers. Some people dared to believe her. Few dared to. Soft murmurs trailed in her wake. He could feel their eyes piercing through her facade, unraveling the secrets she desperately tried to hide. Her coworkers shot her furtive glances, whispers hanging in the air like unspoken secrets. When she reached out to her gym buddies, hoping for a casual hangout, they all seemed to vanish, leaving her feeling a pang of loneliness and longing. The pretense of concern vanished in an instant. She felt the weight of solitude pressing down on her heart. And that was when the thrill of the unknown took hold. For the first time in her life, she felt the thrill of surrender, a rush that both terrified and exhilarated her. With trembling hands, she reached for her phone, crossing a line she never imagined she would dare to cross. She reached out to Kyle's lawyer, her heart racing with the weight of unspoken words. A rough voice replied, carrying an unspoken tension. Autumn, my heart races at the mere thought of you. Her eyes widened, a rush of unexpected feelings flooding her heart. He had been waiting for her, heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. Her heart raced with a forbidden thrill. She swallowed hard, her heart racing. Where is he, my heart's secret? The lawyer let out a heavy sigh, a mix of longing and regret swirling within. My ex-husband, to be precise. The words crashed into her heart, leaving her breathless. What is this feeling that pulls at my heart? So intense, yet so wrong. Her voice was barely a breath. Time hung in the air, heavy with unspoken words. Then the lawyer's voice cut through the air, sharp and piercing. You never saw the email, did you? Her heart raced. Which email are you talking about? A heartbeat of stillness. In that moment, look in your inbox. And just like that, silence swallowed everything. Autumn's gaze lingered on her phone, heart racing with unspoken words. Her face lost all its color. Her heart raced as she took a deep breath and clicked open her email. At the top of her inbox, bold and unread, was an email that sent her heart racing, bearing his name. Our separation. Her heart raced as she clicked it open, the world around her fading into a haze of longing. Her heart raced as she glanced over the words, each one igniting a thrill that felt both exhilarating and wrong. Submitted. Completed. Unchangeable. There were photos included. Snapshots of her essence. Images of her slipping into a hotel room, hand in hand with someone else, igniting a storm of emotions within me. Snapshots of stolen moments, her laughter echoing, fingers brushing, lips meeting in secret. Her throat tightened. He had always known. He had always known, deep down, the truth that lingered between them, and she had unwittingly surrendered to his allure. Her fingers quivered with a mix of longing and fear. Her breath escaped in quick, uneven bursts. Kyle had crossed a line she never imagined he would dare to. He had outplayed her, leaving her heart racing and her breath caught in her throat. And the most painful part? She was blindsided, her heart racing with the unexpected thrill of it all. Autumn's fingers quivered, her heart racing as she gazed at the email, a mix of longing and fear swirling within her. The words danced tantalizingly, blurring into a haze of longing. Yet the message was unmistakably vivid. Submitted. Completed. Unchangeable. Her heart felt heavy with the weight of finality. She had lost all control. And the most painful part? Kyle had toyed with her heart, leaving her feeling like a complete fool. The images were haunting, vivid captures of her slipping into a hotel with someone she shouldn't be with. The timestamps whispered of a time long past. He had always known. He had always known, deep down, the truth that lingered between them. Her stomach twisted in knots, a wave of nausea rising, threatening to overwhelm her. Her fingers clutched the edge of the kitchen counter, each breath a fragile whisper in the charged silence. This can't be real. How could this be real? With trembling fingers, she sent the message, her heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. Autumn and Kyle, this isn't a joke. Just call me. In this moment, silence hung in the air, heavy with unspoken words and lingering glances. The heart raced, caught in a dance of longing and uncertainty, where every moment felt both thrilling and wrong. A connection sparked, electric yet shadowed by the weight of what could never be. Her voice lingered in the air, a whisper of something unspoken. Sent straight to voicemail, my heart sank with each ring that echoed in the silence. Her voice echoed once more, a haunting reminder of what could never be. It lingers, unspoken and heavy in the air. He was turning away, leaving her heart aching in silence. Her jaw tightened, a painful reminder of the emotions she fought to contain. Oh, you really believe you can just leave me behind? She couldn't bear the thought of being cast aside like that. Autumn snatched her keys, her heart racing as she fled the house, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. Their first kiss in the open, a spark of danger igniting the air around them. Kyle's family turns their backs on her. Her heart raced as she pulled up to Kyle's parents' house, a mix of excitement and fear swirling within her. Her fingers clutched the steering wheel, knuckles pale with tension, as her heart raced with unspoken longing. She longed for worry. She had hoped they would stand by her. But when she knocked on their door, his mother barely glanced her way before speaking through the screen, a barrier that felt all too real. Leave, Autumn. Autumn blinked, her heart racing, unprepared for the moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. What? My heart races at the thought. a mix of confusion and longing swirling within me. I just need to talk to his mother's gaze turned icy. There's so much left unsaid. Her heart raced as she pressed against the door, longing for what lay beyond, yet knowing it was wrong to want it so desperately. Autumn let out a fragile laugh, barely masking the turmoil within. All right, I understand. His heart aches. But we can't help what we feel, can we? No, his mother said, her voice sharp and unyielding. You were everything I shouldn't want. Autumn felt a flutter of anxiety in her stomach. This isn't like him, she whispered, her heart racing as she fought to maintain her composure. Do you feel it too? His thoughts are tangled, lost in a haze of longing. Your audacity to show up here is astounding. Her words cut through the air, sharp and unforgiving. For years, my son held a love for you that felt both beautiful and wrong. Caring for you, even when it feels wrong. Is this truly how you chose to repay him? Autumn's throat constricted with an ache she couldn't ignore. You shattered everything, Autumn. You chose your path. Embrace it. The door closed with a heavy thud. Autumn stood there, heart racing, caught in a moment that felt both electric and wrong. This wasn't how it was meant to unfold. They were meant to pity her, but instead, they only deepened the ache in her heart. They were meant to stand by her, yet they turned away. Yet, she found herself on the outside, feeling the chill of distance between them. With each passing moment, the weight of betrayal grew heavier, as friends she once cherished turned their backs, leaving her heart aching in silence. By the time she returned home, her heart was a tempest of unspoken feelings. She sent a flurry of messages to her friends, hoping for their understanding and warmth. Autumn, do you feel this too? Kyle vanished without a word. Without a word of caution. Everything felt like a whisper, a fleeting moment that could never be fully grasped. The heart raced, caught in a dance of longing and secrecy, where every glance held a promise that could never be fulfilled. It was a love that thrived in the shadows, both intoxicating and forbidden, leaving a bittersweet ache in its wake. Autumn, you have to reach out to him. Tell him he's being absurd. Her heart raced as she lingered in the shadows, longing for a moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. The replies shattered her hopes, leaving a bittersweet ache in her heart. Reagan, my heart races at the mere thought of you. Autumn, please. My heart whispers her name. Maybe it's best if you just let him go. Miranda, he has undeniable evidence. I can't believe you see yourself that way. Autumn, my heart races at the mere thought of you. What did you say? Autumn, my heart races at the mere sound of your name. Are you really choosing him over me? Miranda, we can't choose a side in this. It's too complicated, too risky. But what did you imagine would unfold? Autumn, my heart races at the mere thought of you. Oh, my heart, you're all so intense. Hearts stray in the shadows. It feels like a secret, a fleeting moment that shouldn't matter, yet it lingers in the heart. It's a fleeting moment that whispers through the walls of commitment. The group chat fell into a heavy hush. A heartbeat later, Chase vanished from the chat. Then there was Miranda. Then there was Reagan. One by one, they slipped away, leaving Autumn in a haunting solitude, her heart aching for the warmth of their presence. Her hands trembled with a mix of longing and fear. Her friends had betrayed her trust, leaving her heart aching in the silence of their absence. Her heart ached with disbelief. She reached out to Chase, her heart racing with a mix of longing and uncertainty. Silence lingered between them, heavy with unspoken words and longing. The air crackled with tension, a bittersweet ache that neither dared to acknowledge. Their hearts raced, caught in a dance of desire that felt both thrilling and wrong. She whispered the name, Miranda, like a secret that hung in the air, heavy with unspoken longing. Sent straight to voicemail, my heart sank. Soft murmurs began to fill the air. And now, she felt the weight of solitude, as if the world had turned its back on her. The third secret kiss. The sting of public shame. 2 days later, Autumn sensed the weight of their gazes as she stepped into the office. Silence hung heavy in the air, a void where warmth once thrived. The air crackled with a tension that felt both thrilling and dangerous. Her boss's gaze flickered away, a silent tension hanging in the air between them. Whispers danced in the air as her coworkers stole furtive glances, their eyes filled with unspoken secrets. Her assistant, typically so lively, now offered only clipped, tense replies. By lunchtime, her heart ached with understanding. She lingered in the break room, her heart racing as she scrolled through her phone, and then she saw it. Send. A message from Kyle's sister. When someone reveals their true self, trust that first glimpse, even if it stirs something deep within you. There, captured in a moment, was her essence. She stepped into the hotel, a spark of something unspoken hanging in the air. Her heart raced, caught in a moment that felt both exhilarating and wrong. Her heart raced as she clicked the comments. Oh, how it aches. Some hearts are not worthy of devotion. Poor Kyle. How he longs for what he cannot have. I narrowly escaped a heartache, if you ask me. It seems that excuse for a girl's night has lost its magic. What? Autumn felt a shiver run through her, a chill that gripped her heart. She dropped her phone, trembling with a mix of anger and longing. One of her coworkers passed by, their eyes deliberately averted, a silent tension hanging in the air. Her heart raced, a thrill of vulnerability coursing through her veins. Crushed, Kyle had vanished from her life, leaving a void that echoed with unspoken words. He had shattered her world. The final, heart-wrenching gamble. As the week drew to a close, Autumn found herself consumed by longing. What about her world of connections? Gone. What about her reputation? Shattered. Kyle. Off limits. She felt the weight of the moment, knowing it was her final chance. She created a desperate ruse. Her voice quivered as she dialed his lawyer's office, a mix of longing and fear swirling within her. Feigning desperation. Tell Kyle it can't wait. Her voice barely broke the silence. Whisper it to him. I'm feeling something change inside me, something that could alter everything between us. The lie lingered, a bittersweet ache in her heart. A heavy pause lingered in the air. Then the lawyer let out a soft, forbidden laugh. He laughed softly, a sound that felt both light and heavy, like a secret shared in the shadows. It was a bittersweet moment, his words hanging in the air like a secret we both knew we shouldn't share. You really should take a moment to check your email more often. And then silence fell between us. Autumn felt a rush of dread wash over her. Her heart raced as she opened her inbox. A fresh message arrives. Her heart raced as she clicked it open. A plea for the truth of a bond that could change everything. Kyle had foreseen each delicate step she would take. She stifled a sob, her heart aching with unspoken longing. Her heart raced as the very game she played twisted into something she never expected. And the most painful part? In the silence of her heart, she realized the truth: she was the only one to blame. Autumn lingered in the shadows of the dimly lit living room, her heart heavy with unspoken desires. Her gaze lingered on the empty wine glass, a bittersweet ache swelling in her chest. The stillness of the house wrapped around her like a shroud, heavy and suffocating. She had always cherished the silence before. It was a secret longing. It meant Kyle was there, heart racing, just for her. Compliant, routine. Just another fragment of her carefully crafted existence. Is it time? It felt like a secret, hidden away in the shadows. Her phone rested face down on the coffee table, a silent witness to unspoken feelings. She felt the weight of silence wrap around her, a haunting reminder that the echoes of laughter and warmth had faded into the shadows. No one remained to reach out to, no familiar voice to break the stillness. It was just her, alone with the ache of longing and the thrill of what could never be. She felt the weight of their absence, a hollow ache in her heart. Even those who once shared in her secret betrayals. Kyle's family had closed their doors to her, leaving her heart aching in the shadows. The day dragged on, suffocating and relentless. The glances, the murmurs, the disapproval. Once the object of envy, she now felt the weight of their pity pressing down on her. And Kyle? He was gone, leaving only a haunting emptiness behind. Until this very moment. A notification had flashed on her phone that morning, stirring something deep within her heart. A shiver raced down her spine. Kyle Davis longs to meet. Her gaze lingered on it, a mix of longing and hesitation swirling in her heart. Her breath hitched, a silent gasp of longing. He longed to catch a glimpse of her. Her first instinct was a burning fury. Oh, now he decides to reach out? After disappearing from my life for weeks? After everything you put me through? After shattering my world? Yet beneath the fury lay a feeling she despised even more. Longing. She whispered to herself that it was all for the thrill of victory, that she longed to have the final say, a whisper of defiance in the air. Yet, buried within her heart, the truth whispered softly. Her heart ached for just one glimpse of him. She had to find out if there was even a glimmer of hope to mend what was broken. The encounter. The cafe he picked felt ordinary, yet it held a spark of something unspoken between them. A hidden corner of the world, just beyond the reach of everyday life. She came early on purpose, heart racing with the thrill of what was to come. Her heart raced at the thought of being the first to take her seat at the table, a thrill of anticipation coursing through her veins. Yearned to appear composed. But when she saw him walk in, her heart raced and her breath caught in her throat. Kyle had an air about him that was undeniably captivating. Nothing compares. He looked irresistibly captivating. He looked more composed than she had ever witnessed before. He stood tall, a silent strength radiating from him. He stood tall, an air of certainty surrounding him. His gaze held secrets, a storm of unspoken feelings swirling beneath the surface. His hair fell perfectly into place, a small detail that made my heart race. His beard was perfectly trimmed, a subtle detail that made her heart race. He appeared to be someone who had left the past behind. Her mouth felt parched, a rush of longing flooding her senses. He took a seat opposite her, silence hanging heavily between them. Her heart raced as she held her breath, longing for him to break the silence. Yet he chose not to. She despised that feeling. At last her words slipped through the silence. She wrapped her arms around herself, a silent shield against the world. Suppressing a playful smile. Have you finally chosen to lift that heavy veil of sadness? His lips curled ever so slightly, a secret smile that hinted at something more forbidden. Not in jest, yet in a chill that lingers. I never wallowed in sadness, Autumn. He whispered. I dreamed. A shiver raced down her spine. She released a soft, pained laugh, tinged with longing. Did you really go this far over something so small? Kyle tilted his head, a spark of longing flickering in his eyes. Just one tiny misstep? She let out a soft sigh, her shoulders rising and falling as if carrying the weight of unspoken feelings. Reclining into the moment. All right, I give in. Perhaps just a few missteps. But please, Kyle, let's face it. Hearts stray. It just happens. You're treating me like I've committed the worst sin. His jaw tightened, a storm brewing beneath the surface, yet he held back the tempest within. That stung her deeper than if he had truly crossed the line. She craved the fire in his eyes, the way his fury ignited something deep within her. She longed for a sign that his heart still beat for her. But he simply. She lingered in the shadows, heart racing. So, people really do betray, don't they? He finally spoke. Then tell me, Autumn, what do you truly feel? Is it everything you hoped for? Her body tensed, a rush of unspoken feelings coursing through her. What does that even imply? He leaned in, the air thick with unspoken words. He leaned forward, his elbows resting on the table, a silent tension hanging in the air between them. Last I saw, it seems you're all alone now. My family would never accept us. Your boss hardly meets your gaze, a tension lingering in the air between you. Her throat constricted, a rush of unspoken feelings flooding her heart. Don't pretend you're flawless. She broke. I gave you everything, and yet it feels like it was never enough. If you had just been a little more exciting, I might not have sought solace elsewhere. There it was, a fleeting moment that felt both electric and wrong. The reason we can't be together. The reason behind it all. She braced herself for his anger. Perhaps even scream. Instead, he smiled. Not a warm smile. Not a sad one. A knowing one. You still don't get it, he said softly. Her stomach dropped. His eyes locked onto hers. Cold. Calculated. Final. I didn't leave you because you cheated, Autumn. Her lips parted. Confusion flickering across her face. He sat back, arms crossing over his chest. I left because you weren't worth staying for. A rush of humiliation burned through her. Her nails dug into the table. Screw you, she hissed. He chuckled. Already did. Worst decision of my life. Tears burned at the back of her eyes. But she refused to blink. Refused to let him see it. She was about to take a leap into the unknown. A final, desperate grasp for what once was mine. She licked her lips, her voice quivering with unspoken desire. My heart aches for you. The words slipped from her lips, unfamiliar yet laced with a desperate sincerity that she had mastered in secret. I made a mistake, Kyle, she whispered, her fingers trembling as they brushed against his. Oh, how I wish I could take it back. Each day feels like a stolen moment, a heartbeat shared in the shadows. Please, don't let go of what we shared. Just for a fleeting moment. Just a moment. She felt a spark in his gaze, a fleeting moment that stirred something deep within her. Then he withdrew his hand, leaving a lingering ache in the air. His voice held a quiet intensity, stirring something deep within her. Unyielding. You don't miss me, Autumn, he whispered, a hint of longing in his voice. You crave the thrill of surrender. Her heart raced, caught in a moment that felt both exhilarating and wrong. You long for that one person who embraced your flaws, despite the chaos you brought into their life. A person who brought simplicity to your chaotic world. A heart that chose to forgive you. Even after all the times you trampled on his heart. He drew closer once more. But can you believe it? He's gone, and it feels like a piece of my heart has vanished with him. Her breath caught in her throat. Relish every moment of your freedom. He whispered, rising to his feet, a spark of longing in his eyes. Now, it's all yours, but can you truly embrace it? She sprang up, heart racing. You can't just leave me like this. His smile lingered, a fleeting spark in the shadows. I've already taken that step. And just like that, he walked away, leaving a void that echoed with unspoken words. She stood there, heart racing, caught in a moment that felt both electric and wrong. As the truth washed over her like a tidal wave. It was the end of everything we had. This time, it's for real. Not again. No victory. Only her. Isolated. In that moment, Autumn was overwhelmed by the ache of her loss, a bittersweet realization that pierced her heart. Not just their vows. Not just her heart. Not just her allure. She had lost the only one who had ever truly held her heart. And she had cast him aside as if he were invisible. Now, she was the one who had to watch him go. Dear listeners, I long to hear your whispers in the comments. And please remember to show your love by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel.